Farah Pahlavi was the last queen and Empress of Iran. She ruled the country for 20 years, immersed in abundance and luxury. However, after the Iranian Revolution in 1979, Farah and her family had to leave Iran to escape the death penalty. Since then, her life has completely changed. Where is she now? And what does she look like after 44 years? The life story of Farah Pahlavi is fascinating and full of unexpected events and twists of fate, both joyful and sad. Her life can be divided into two large parts. She spent the first 40 years in her homeland, Iran. Then I had to go abroad, since returning home was dangerous. Farah had to go through many losses, endure difficulties, and learn to live again. That's what makes her story so fascinating. Farah Diber was not born into a royal family, and her relatives were not connected to the imperial court. However, her story is far from the fairy tale of Cinderella. Farah family Diber was rich and high-ranking. In the late 19th century, her grandfather was a diplomat who served as the Persian ambassador to the Romanov court in St. Petersburg, Russia. Her father was an officer in the Iranian armed forces. However, after the death of his father, the family faced financial difficulties. In this situation, they were forced to leave their magnificent family home north of Tehran and settle into a modest apartment. It should be noted that in the 50s Iran was a fairly progressive state, especially regarding women's rights and education. Many Iranian students, including girls, were given the opportunity to study abroad with the help of a government fund. Farah Diber was one such girl who went to study in Paris. She was first educated at the French school of Joan of Arc until her 16th birthday, and then continued her studies at the Lycée Razi. The girl also studied architecture at one of the leading educational institutions in Paris. In her youth, she was also an active athlete and captain of the basketball team. In those years, the Iranian Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi often traveled outside his country and met with Iranian students who studied at the expense of the state. In 1959, the Shah visited Paris and met with students at the Iranian embassy. Among these students was a 21-year-old girl named Farah Diber. The Shah was much older than her, and he had already had 2 unsuccessful marriages. His first wife, Princess Fawzia of Egypt, gave birth to a daughter, but they divorced due to personal differences. The second wife, Queen Soraya, could not have children, which was the reason for their separation, since the male line of succession was important for the country. In this regard, 40-year-old Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi in 1959 was looking for a young and healthy wife so that they could have heirs. Farah Diber was perfect for this role, as she was not only beautiful, but also educated, from a good family. The romance between the student and the Shah developed quickly, and in the summer of 1959 she returned to Tehran, where they announced their engagement in November. On December 20th of the same year, a luxurious wedding took place, which received wide coverage in the international press. On this day, the bride looked beautiful in a dress designed by Yves Saint Laurent, then he was a designer at the House of Dior. The wedding tiara was ordered from the famous American jeweler Harry Winston and was stunning in its parameters. It contained 325 diamonds and weighed 2 kilograms, or 4.4 pounds. The groom was dressed in a traditional military uniform. Their significant age difference was noticeable to everyone. At the same time, everyone understood that the success of this union depended entirely on Farah Diber's ability to give birth to male heirs. The king had no intention of marrying the princess. He did not succumb to the conventions established marriages between royal families. No, he fell in love with a little Iranian girl, and, as in fairy tales, I was going to follow my heart, Farah Pahlavi wrote in her memoirs many years later. A year later, the new Queen of Iran gave birth to a son, Prince Reza Pahlavi. What happiness it was! The first child was a boy. 3 years later, they had a daughter, Princess Faranaz Pahlavi. Then a third child, Prince Ali Reza Pahlavi, was born. In March 1970, the couple welcomed their fourth child, Princess Layla Pahlavi. No one expected Queen Farah Pahlavi to become a key player in state politics. She was only instructed to continue the family line and be a good wife and mother. At first, she was mainly concerned with family affairs, but after the birth of the prince she devoted more and more time to other activities. Like some other queens, she actively participated in various ceremonies and attended the openings of educational and medical institutions. She was not interested in politics. She was close to education, healthcare, culture, and social problems. In these areas, she influenced her husband. At the same time, she came into conflict with her husband's twin sister, Princess Ashraf, who also aspired to power. Queen Farah Pahlavi asked her husband to reduce his sister's influence. Over time, Farah Pahlavi became one of the most famous figures in the government. She was involved in charity work and supported 24 organizations in the fields of education, medicine, and culture. Farah Pahlavi perfectly combined the role of the country's First Lady. She had impeccable dressing style, spoke several languages, and fought for women's rights. Foreign journalists called her the Eastern Jackie Kennedy and followed her every step. She was also interested in art and had a collection of masterpieces from all over the world. Farah Pahlavi provided significant support to the Tehran Museum of Contemporary Art, thanks to whom the museum acquired a significant collection, which is her merit. Farah Pahlavi has attracted attention in a region where women's lives are usually hidden from the public eye. She traveled around the country, met with compatriots in cities and villages, and appeared on the covers of magazines. That's why she was called their working empress. The 20 years Farah Pahlavi spent on the throne were happy. She and her husband adored each other and their children and lived in luxury. In 1967, the Shah proclaimed himself emperor and Farah Pahlavi empress. Their official coronation took place in the Tehran Palace. The Shah officially appointed his wife as regent so that she could replace him in the event of his death or incapacity before the Crown Prince's 21st birthday. The appointment of a woman as regent was unusual for a Muslim monarchy. In 1971, the imperial family organized a celebration of the 2500th anniversary of the Persian Empire, which was attended by the elite from around the world. It was a grand event, the purpose of which was to show the power and wealth of the Iranian monarchy. However, this caused great discontent among ordinary residents of the country, who were outraged by the extravagance of the imperial family. Gradually, discontent in the country grew and led to the 1979 revolution. The Shah of Iran, his wife, children, and other family members had to go abroad. The most difficult fate befell the Iranian Shah and his family, who had to wander around the world as forced refugees from the revolution. The Iranian government not only ordered their extradition, but also issued an arrest and execution warrant. A year after his exile, the deposed Iranian monarch Mohammad Reza Pahlavi died of illness and was buried in Egypt. His wife and children took refuge in the United States. From that time on, Farah Pahlavi, the former queen, began a new life. However, accustomed to the luxurious palace life and honors of her native country, she has now become an ordinary woman in a foreign country. However, she remains respected and remains a celebrity guest at major royal events. She is also actively involved in charity work. In 2001, Farah Pahlavi lost her youngest daughter. Princess Layla was found dead in a hotel in London. Her blood was found to contain excessive levels of illicit drugs to which she was dependent. The princess was buried with her grandmother in Paris. After the loss of her daughter, Farah Pahlavi moved to Maryland, near Washington, D.C., to be closer to her son and grandchildren. In 2011, her youngest son Ali Reza Pahlavi committed suicide in Boston. It is difficult to imagine what grief it was for the mother to bury her children. But she was forced to overcome this blow. What happened was very difficult, she says. I decided to be strong for the sake of my two other children, Reza and Faranaz, and for the many other mothers in Iran who have also lost their children. In 2003, the former queen wrote her memoirs about life with the Shah, entitled Enduring Love, My Life with the Shah. The publication aroused enormous international interest and became a bestseller in Europe. Iranian writer Reza Beygin praised the memoir as abundant and with an attitude of love and compassion for his nation. Currently, Farah Pahlavi is an 85-year-old woman and has 3 granddaughters from her son Reza Pahlavi, Crown Prince of Iran, and his wife Yasmin. She also has a granddaughter from Ali's late son Reza. After the death of her husband, Farah Pahlavi never married again. Every year she visits Egypt to visit the grave and remember him with great affection. Today Farah Pahlavi lives in a luxurious apartment in the USA. Even though she has not been to Iran for 44 years, she still worries about what is happening in her home country, especially the deprivation of many women and other citizens of their rights in modern Iran. I believe in freedom for women, in equal rights, the right to work, the right to hold high positions, the right to take custody of their children after divorce, she says. Thoughts about her homeland break her heart. There is so much poverty and tyranny in Iran that has never been seen in her time. Light will conquer darkness and Iran will rise from its ashes. They must stay strong, she added. I honor International Women's Day in memory of the fallen women and sympathize wounded, imprisoned women, grieving mothers and all freedom-loving women of our country. I have no doubt that the leading and tireless Iranian women will achieve their dreams and regain their position of honor, she wrote on Instagram. The life of Farah Pahlavi resembles the plot of a Hollywood film. So many different events happened in it. A young woman who met true love fulfilled her dream and settled in the palace, but soon found herself expelled. The only thing that remains for her today is hope. She continues to believe that Iran will one day be free. And even if she will not witness this historical moment, perhaps her grandchildren will. Do you believe it? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share your thoughts with me in the comments, like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.